Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show brought to you by our friends at Tanner Health System. It is 8:30 on a Getaway Friday. It is Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody appreciates the weekend that we have ahead of us and the day that is Memorial Day on Monday. And I hope everybody's safe out there. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington. You can see the two beautiful young ladies we have in front of us this morning. If you are watching us on Facebook Live, if you're not, why not? Get over there, News Talk 1330 Facebook page. Feel free to post comments and questions if you want to go a different direction with our conversation this morning. Not only beautiful young ladies, but intelligent and kind of caring, too, apparently. Jodie Goodman. She is with Carroll County Mental Health Advocates. Brand new job with them. I think they're about 2 months now, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, somebody, a Board of Education member, actually tackled Steve Graddick and said, you got to make sure you get her on there because she's doing a real good job. And I was like, I already did it. Already booked it. It's done.
Thank you.
Can you guess who it is?
No.
I think she's a friend, so I can impersonate her.
Okay.
When I do it, maybe you'll recognize her. You need to get Jodie Goodman on that program.
I have no idea.
Carroll County Board of Education member?
Oh, Sandra Morris.
I think she's the only female on the board anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at this time she is.
Is she? And Betty Cason, she's a probate judge for Carroll County on the program this morning as well. Good morning.
Well, I don't know what we did to deserve her. She's a godsend, and she has come into our program, and it is just wonderful.
Well, then let's talk about the program and talk about why it's important she's in this role. Okay. I guess, first of all, you're coming from the Housing Authority. Were you there for several years?
I was there for 19 and a half years, so it was a big change. But I'm excited to be where I am, about 2.5 months in, and we've been full steam ahead ever since.
Well, with the Housing Authority, I imagine you do probably cross over some of the same issues, right? I mean, whether it's the intention or not, I mean, it probably comes towards you. Yes.
So that started my passion with working with mental health clients and working with Pathways in Willowbrook. So that started the fire, I guess you would say. And when I had this opportunity to work with CMHA, I had to take it. So.
Well, who are the Carroll County Mental Health Advocates? And what do they do?
We are a board of 17 volunteers that are board members, and we work to improve the lives of individuals who have a mental health diagnosis, and our goal is to provide resources and services to make their lives and their families' lives better.
How do people get into your direction? How do you come across people who might have issues?
Referrals. Obviously, Judge Cason works with probate court, so a lot of our referrals come from her. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement, mental health agencies, just service providers within the community as well.
Well, we can talk about maybe some specific things, I mean, that you guys see on a daily basis. And she did kind of allude to it there a little bit, introducing you. Talk about your relationship, how you did, why you guys, and how you do partner.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, the Carroll County Mental Health Advocacy Program started about 2008, and it came from a stakeholders meeting because what we had was people. When I do orders to apprehend for people that are a threat to themselves or to others, either because of mental illness or substance abuse, and we just saw a revolving door, and from that, we decided there was a missing link. So there was a committee, and the committee turned into a board. We developed a training program for advocates who could help these people. Once they have a diagnosis, once they have a case plan, then they get assigned an advocate, and the advocate, calls them, helps them with their appointments, helps them understand what's going on with them, make sure they go to their treatment, because, I mean, face it, most people are not educated about mental illness because of the stigma that's always been associated with mental illness, and people didn't know where the services were. So that's one thing that we've done is really worked to create a network of services. And Jodie referred to Willowbrook and to Pathways, and they have been a great community supporter for our program. And Jodie was actually on our board and represented the Housing Authority because when we tried to make the makeup of the board where it covered the whole community. So she was serving as a board member, and we want to thank West Georgia Community Foundation. We got a grant from them, and that's how we were able to hire Jodie. And Jodie hit the ground running, and she's applied for a grant, and just lots of things that she's already got in place. And we work also with local law enforcement in training their officers.
Crisis intervention training.
Yes, absolutely. But Jodie's just done a great job, and like I said, I don't know what we did to deserve her, but she was a godsend, and we appreciate it. And we're just so excited. And I'm going to let her tell you about our newest program that we've started, and that's a mental health diversion program.
Well, don't forget that. But let me get two things that you did touch on, and I can ask both of you this. You talked about the stigma. Do you see that? Have you seen that changing over the years? I mean, I feel like I see it changing, maybe because of my own views, or just be more accepting over the last 25 years, or just not being as careless with what I'm saying maybe about it over the last 25 years. Do you see that is changing? You really think?
I think there has been, a little bit of a shift. People are more educated. Maybe social media and the internet is the cause of that it's in your face a little bit more, and people are talking about it. But there still is a really big stigma attached to mental illness.
And you think it's just maybe some people aren't comfortable being around with it? They don't know how to deal with it. Maybe that's part of an education
I think
program.
It's an uncomfortable situation. When someone's diagnosed with cancer or heart disease, people are quick to bring, a casserole, send flowers. But when's the last time you heard somebody sending flowers to someone that has a mental health diagnosis?
Yeah.
We have
and maybe
to,
flowers, even, but not a cake.
Right. We have to make that shift so that people can feel comfortable to get the services they need.
And I wasn't sure if you said you were seeing a difference or not.
Well, there is a little bit, but people are still reluctant to talk about family members that have mental illness. And I think it's, like Jodie said, it's because people don't understand it. And there has been such a stigma over the years that, it's a sign of weakness, it's something they can help, it's something they can overcome. And yes, there are medications and there is treatment that can help people. But I think one thing that's helped a little bit is you have a lot more, I don't want to say movie stars, but really public.
Celebrities, I guess public figures.
Celebrities, athletes, people that they can associate with. But the thing about it is most of the time, if you get the diagnosis early enough and you get on the right treatment, people can function, because people function every day with depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. But a lot of times what happens is people get on the medication or you get in the treatment program and they feel better and they think, oh, I'm cured. But you're not. It's something you're going to have to deal with, and the medication you're going to have to take. And the example I use is, I have a thyroid condition. I have to take thyroid medication every day, and I'll have to take that the rest of my life. So that's something I've just reconciled to myself too. But a lot of people can't do that, and it's because sometimes the side effects of the medication makes you almost, I guess, a zombie, no feeling, just numb, and not productive, and people don't like that.
When we talk about, last question before the break, we'll take a break and come back and talk about the programs. But when we talk about, is there a spectrum for mental health? I mean, do you think, if you talk about maybe just depression and compare it to
Absolutely.
bipolar, but do you guys see that? People who are working in it every day, do you see the same thing that maybe I do, not paying so much attention to it?
Right.
Are they treated the same way, do you think? I mean, from the advocate group, are they approached the same way?
Well, or we oftentimes, Judge and I see people when they're in their crisis, and when they've oftentimes hit rock bottom, and Judge probably sees that more than me. But I mean, that's when most oftentimes the family members seek help, is when they're in a crisis moment, when they've hit rock bottom. And so, we have to act fast and work with our community resources to get them help while they're in that crisis.
And do you personally, are you made aware of people that you possibly can help before they're going through the court system, or is that typically when you talk about rock bottom? Is that
we are through law enforcement and other community agencies, and we have a team of people that meet monthly just to identify people that might be, at risk.
Mm-hmm. It is 20 minutes before 9 o'clock on this Friday. You can see that we're joined by Jodie Goodman. She's with the Carroll County Mental Health Advocates, and Betty Cason is a probate judge. Questions and comments this morning, you can feel free to call us at 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK, or you can post on our Facebook page. Derek Newton already has, and he says that Jodie rocks. And
love you, Derek Newton.
He's okay. He's a faithful viewer, I guess, and listener to our program in the morning. But May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we'll talk a lot more about that, the local issues here after our first break. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
8:42. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show, as always, brought to you by our friends at Tanner Health System. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington. You can see to my right, Judge Betty Cason, probate judge, and to my left, Jodie Goodman. She's with the Carroll County Mental Health Advocates and brand new to the executive director. Is that the title?
Coordinator.
Yeah. Okay, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it did work out. That's actually the reason you reached out. You said, hey,
absolutely.
I just moved over, and of course, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And you guys had several events already. How were they received? Was it a good turnout? Support?
Good. We've been busy. We've been really busy. One of the main focus areas was just community outreach and education for this month, and we did that through rock painting. Rock painting is the big phenomenon in Carrollton on the Greenbelt. Hiding rocks, painting rocks, that sort of thing. So we decided as a group to create a rock art garden in our parking lot in front of our building on Bradley Street. And we've been painting rocks all month with various groups and organizations have come by. And so the 31st, May 31st, we will have our rock art garden dedication and proclamation for May's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Are you going to be able to leave that rock garden out there forever? Is that...
Until we're told we have to move it.
Nobody's going to. So you say, I know Judge Betty Cason. And you say, it'll be
That's
okay.
That's the plan.
Never mind. Well, tell me about, before I interrupted you, Judge was throwing you the ball, and I said, no, let's talk other stuff. But
no, that's good. No, we have a new piece of the puzzle in our program, so to say. It's a mental health diversion program, and we are working with the solicitor's office and under state court. If there are individuals who have a serious mental illness and have that diagnosis and who have committed a misdemeanor crime, we're able to work with the court and the solicitor's office to divert their charges. And in lieu of them, having jail time or charges or fines, we're diverting them to their treatment that they need. Because oftentimes they've committed that crime because of their mental illness. And instead of, them sitting in jail and waiting on a court date and us as taxpayers paying for that and their treatment while they're in jail, we're able to divert that charge and get them the treatment that they need. And it's a win-win for everybody.
You mentioned they do the crime maybe because of their condition. Do we see that? I mean, like violence. Maybe they stole.
Yeah, I mean, I have a case that always sticks out in my head. You know, we've had a shoplifting charge.
Is it what they're shoplifting?
Yeah, I mean, it was a case of someone, shoplifting dog bones at Walmart. She didn't have a dog, and that's points to that, something, she might have a mental illness. It turns out she did. So we got her some help, and a lot of times it's just minor misdemeanor charges that take up time in the court system and in the courtroom, and we're trying to alleviate all that and get them connected to the services they need. Well, if they don't do that treatment plan, then they will have to go before the judge.
You talk about that, 20s, 30-year-old. I mean, we don't want to give too much information about her, but 20 or 30 years old, and I'm wondering, is that the first time that anybody ever suggested that she maybe need to get some help?
Well, for diversion, we try to look at their history and make sure that they're a good candidate for the program. That this is that there's a pattern. But yeah, I mean, there are some first instances and.
Well, I just wondered, their whole life, did nobody ever say anything? Or maybe people just said it, again, like I want to say when we're younger, maybe say things without thinking about it and use those kind of words, calling somebody crazy or something. But she never really took it serious before to get herself checked out.
For some illnesses, the onset is, early 20s. I think for schizophrenia, it's 18 to 42.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a wide range that you can...
What could be triggers for those? Is it just waiting? I mean, is there...
Stress, a big life event. There's all sorts of things that...
And actually, your neurologists don't know. They just say that something in the brain misfires and that starts it, and, it can be some stressors. But a lot of people who have mental illness, the family doesn't know how to get them help. And even though they know there's something wrong, they don't know what it is, so they just kind of let it go. And, the laundering, criminal trespass, those are the kind of crimes that most of the time are red flags in repeat offenders. And, I mean, our law enforcement in our communities are great about working with people. I mean, I joke with them about having me on speed dial, which I think they do, but, when they encounter these people out in the community, maybe the family doesn't know how to help them. And a lot of times law enforcement will be very proactive in trying to get them some treatment before they commit a crime. But a lot of times the only way you can, and I don't want to say force somebody to get treatment because maybe that's not a good word, but to encourage them and have some leverage, because that helps a lot of times. If they are given a choice, you're going to, go through this treatment program and hopefully get better and not do these things again, or you're going to sit in jail and this is just going to be a revolving door for you.
And you talk about that program. Are there instances where they just don't want the help, or they're scared to for whatever reason?
Well, and sometimes if it's substance abuse, we had one that, he was going to do it, but all he wanted was the prescription. So he didn't last very long.
Yeah. And then what's but you're telling them, hey, you've got this option, you can do this, you can go through this program, you'll be able to avoid jail time. And I guess, how about the success rate? I mean, can you call it a success rate? Because you'll never know.
Well, I've had 2 days in court so far for mental health diversion. So this week was my second week. So we're new. We have 4 clients, I think, that have been approved. So we will be tracking them.
So this
and
is
their
brand
goals.
spanking new. I just thought, I was thinking that it was stuff that you guys had done together for a long time, but this is something that's able to happen because they have a new coordinator.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Because before it was basically me and the volunteers, and that was hard, and we couldn't get it as much as we needed. But, having Jodie dedicated to this has helped tremendously. And, it is new. But, when we talk about success rate, I think it was Gwinnett County that how many did they have in their program? It was a small number.
Yeah, I mean, I think they take a caseload of like 30 or 40.
Yeah, and the reason is not the multitudes. And I mean, there's no shortage of people out there, that's for sure. But it's, we don't want to get so overwhelmed and not be able to help those. So I'd rather help, 25 or 30 people this year and be successful than try to get in 100 people and not be able to manage the program.
Right.
But I mean, we haven't set, this is how many we're going to take. I mean, we're basically, right now we're going on a case-by-case basis to see how it works out. And we have one that has made progress already, actually. But a lot of times it takes you a while to know the whole dynamics of it. It's not just that person having a case plan to say, oh, okay, well, you're diagnosed with bipolar or schizophrenia. Well, sometimes you have to look at the home situation to see what the stressors are for that person, and that takes time, so.
And you may be turned on to, other people. You go into
Absolutely.
the home, you're going to find.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes it becomes a whole family unit. And the other thing that we're going to work with is the juvenile court, with their family court, where the children are in the juvenile system, but again, maybe the child's problem is because of the family problem. And so then again, our advocates may be assigned to the family to help them get through where they need to be.
We need to take our final break, but
Okay.
we talked about before we do that, I want to ask this. We talked about the stigma, and I've spoken with Terry Langley about this situation for years. He's talked about
Right.
that. Half of the people, I don't say half, but there's a large number of people that were in the jails in Carroll County Jail.
Probably more than half.
Well, it was due to some sort of mental issue. But again, we talked about the stigma. Do you think a part of it is being scared? Seeing TV, seeing movies, and just seeing they react, and maybe scared of being physically hurt by that person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with schizophrenia, the voices are command voices. They are, you need to kill this person because they're the devil, or they're Satan, or they're feeding information to other people about you.
Lots of paranoia. But again, with the right medication,
That could be.
all of that can be, people can function and function well.
It's kind of hard to keep up, high energy and happiness as we're talking about this. It is a pretty serious thing.
It is.
And I do appreciate you guys coming in this morning to talk about it. 8:54 right now. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have Jodie Goodman with the Carroll County Mental Health Advocates Group and Betty Cason, a probate judge, on our program this morning. We're listening. You're listening on News Talk 1330 AM, FM 106.3, and of course this morning we are on Facebook Live, the News Talk 1330 Facebook page. So we'll come back with about 5 minutes to go. If you do have any questions or comments, please post them on the Facebook page, and we'll make sure we shout them out. But we'll come back after this from Tanner.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama. Because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
5 minutes before 9 o'clock. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice Program, brought to you by Tanner Health System. You're listening on 106.3 FM, News Talk 1330 AM, and of course we're on Facebook Live this morning. You can see my guests to my right, Betty Cason, probate judge here in Carroll County, and Jodie Goodman is a Carroll County mental health advocate. She is the coordinator. Pretty much brand spanking new. We do have about 5 minutes left to go. There's a couple of events that you guys would like to make sure people are aware of that are coming up. We did talk a little bit about the rock garden dedication, but
yes.
Remind us about that.
Yes, Thursday, May 31st, 6 o'clock. We'll be in the parking lot of the Bradley Street office where the Quilt Museum is, across from City Hall. We'll have some popsicles, painting rocks, some refreshments. Come out. If you painted a rock at Mayfest, come out and find your rock in the garden. We'll have a dedication and proclamation and lots of fun.
Can you do something like that? Can you tribute a family member or a friend? I mean, do you like put a name on the back
Absolutely.
of the rock or something like that?
You can put whatever you want on the rock.
It just seems like that's kind of, you have this big rock garden, and it just seems like you want to kind of tribute and
absolutely.
It's like throwing a penny in the fountain or something for good luck. So
for sure.
And then you have your big signature event, which is coming up this fall, and I'm sure we'll talk to you before then. But let's give everybody a heads up on that.
Yeah, we're having a masquerade ball, unmasking mental illness. We're in the planning stages now, but we're scheduled for October 6th. Lots of fun stuff happening with that. We're excited. So yeah.
Come on, come often. I don't know. Bring us, yes.
Well, we're always open for donations. I mean, we'll accept.
Absolutely.
That sounded like the voting thing. Vote often. And, anybody want to give a big shout out to? I mean, somebody who's been real helpful over the last month. I mean, the transition. Bringing Jodie in.
Oh well, our state court judge. Bob Sullivan, our solicitor Doug Vassey's offices their staff, everybody has worked with us really great. And law enforcement, I just can't say enough about them. I know they don't get the attention they deserve. They usually get a bad rap, but people just don't understand how many hours that our law enforcement spend with homeless people, people that have mental illness, and I guess that would be my... Yeah,
and I would say Carroll County Sheriff's Office and Carrollton Police Department have been amazing for me during this transition, and they are rock stars.
And I don't see those guys getting a bad rep a lot. I think our community really supports our police force.
Embrace,
we see a lot of things... elsewhere, and there's some things that that are questioned. But I think for the majority of the time, our community really supports our law enforcement.
Yeah, and I want to stress this is Carroll County, so we do work with other cities' law enforcement agencies, but we haven't worked, I guess, as much with them as we'd like to. But we encourage anybody that needs services to contact us.
Mm-hmm. Is there, in court, is it the responsibility of the defense attorney to bring this issue to you, or is it more on you think?
Well, I think most of the time we get it before it gets there, because we usually get it at the onset.
You can look at the actual crime and say, okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Sheriff Langley has dedicated a person in his jail, and she is our mental health liaison. She serves on the board, and it's great. It's great to have Anna.
She's amazing.
She is.
Anna Garman, shout out.
And it was kind of disappointing you didn't bring your daughter out this morning too, because if you're friends with Jodie on Facebook, you see a lot of nice. I don't know how to call it, but you feature your daughter a lot, and she appears to be a handful. Pleasant
she
to say.
Is a wild child. McKenna Goodman. She's probably still sleeping.
As I was telling you, if we reached a law in the program, she could have filled it without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, ladies, thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having us.
And we'll put together a couple of news stories to put on our newscasts on Tuesday, because we get Monday off. Woohoo! But of course, we want to recognize it for all the right reasons. Memorial Day, and there's an event in Carroll County on Saturday. I know they're planned at I think it starts at 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's supposed to be at the Veterans Wall here in Carroll County, but if it does rain, they're going to move it across the street to the rec center there. So we'll keep you posted. They'll let you know by 9:30 in the morning for sure what they'll do with that event. But again, thank you, ladies, for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show, as always, brought to you by our friends at Tanner Health System. It is 9 o'clock. Stay tuned for national news, followed by local news. Glenn Beck, no, not Newt Gingrich. What's his name? Who's the other guy? Who do we hear at 12 o'clock? Rush Limbaugh. and then Sean Hannity. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care.